Welcome to the long-awaited continuation of my Elden Ring drip rankings. This time, Shadow of the Erdtree, where I will use my expertise as RoaminFox, the old drip knowing, to analyze and rank the drip or the general fashion of Elden Ring bosses. As you may have inferred, I already made this video but for the base game, and I will sometimes refer to that video to give you a general idea where the new bosses rank within the grand scheme of all bosses in the game. You can watch that video if you so desire. Originally, we had 4 categories: no drip, mid, drip, and drip lords. But since there's only 6 bosses in the DLC which qualify for a drip ranking, I'll just talk about them in a row and tell you which category they fit into. Let's not waste any more time and get into our number 6 spot. Radahn, the consort of Miquella. And Radahn is a solid top of the mid-tier boss. Original Radahn placed quite high in the base game, but a lot of the really unique and drippy elements of his outfit basically vanished now that he's in his prime quote-unquote mode. Which, good for you, girly, good for you, but you had to sacrifice your drip for that power. Was it really worth it? Don't misunderstand, I don't think it's bad by any means. It is a solid set of armor with nice line motif work. Alright colors, but there's really nothing special about it. There's plenty of bosses who have similar solid armor, or honestly, even cooler. But they have other extra ways to accessorize them which give them so much more flavor. Radahn does have a twink on his back which I respect as a bit of a fashion piece. If I could have a cute twink on my back all day, I would too. But it feels kinda derivative of Godfrey while just being executed in a much worse way. Essentially, Radahn is kinda boring to look at. There's no special accents, it doesn't synergize with the Miquellian magic in a nice visual way, and it doesn't have any cool shape language or pattern either. I'm honestly surprised I managed to talk this much about it because there's really not much to talk about here. It's very basic. Radahn is a basic bitch. So let's move on to our number 5 pick, Divine Beast Dancing Lion. When I first saw this boss, I called it 2 dudes in a trench coat because that's essentially all it is. Just 2 lads in a fucked up Erdtree and Haunter inspired costume. Interestingly enough, it has strong elements of Haunter visuals and Erdtree visuals at the same time, which from playing the game I thought there's beef there, and I'm pretty sure from knowing the lore there is beef there. But hey, I'm just here to look at drip. Overall, it's a very unique costume design inspired by traditional Chinese lion dance costumes, hence the name Dancing Lion. In terms of uniqueness and wow factor, it wows you from the first glance cause ain't nobody wearing shit like this around. It goes hard as fuck. You see these 2 dudes down the street and you're like, yeah, these guys fuck with fashion. And it's also just very cool to look at. Unfortunately, it is a bit basic and lacks any of the strong design foundations to carry it forward after the initial wow factor. So for that reason, I can't rate it too high. I would probably put it at the bottom of drip just because it is so unique and does the simple things it's out to do super well. In number 4, we have Commander Gaius van Belzer, the Legatus of the 14th Legion. I'm sorry, I had to get that joke out of my system. In terms of drip, Gaius must have just watched my last video because it feels like he just went down the list and was like, okay, this ability which gets turned into drip, check. Making sure your homie is just as drippy as you are, check. Unique design elements, check. I am thoroughly impressed, check. That is a man after my own fashionable heart. First things first, if you try to sell yourself as a package deal, you have to both be drippy as fuck. If Gaius and his bow are both drippy, they further elevate each other to a level that they could never reach by themselves. I actually dunked a lot of points from OG Radahn for this exact reason. He did Leonard way too dirty when that's supposed to be his boy. That's your boy, that's your guy, that's your OG, that's your brother. Why are you doing him so dirty? I'm still pissed about it, but this is about Gaius. Gaius is an albinoric, so he doesn't actually possess any legs, and instead he uses his bow as a pseudo prosthetic of sorts to replace his legs. Just any prosthetic or just any way to turn your disability into drip is always some of the hardest shit you can find, because it shows nothing can stop you from being an absolute fashion icon. Not even yourself. Apart from that, I love how he matches the black steel aesthetic and color scheme of the Shadowkeep, so you know what he's about from the first glance. The color scheme itself isn't anything special, but it doesn't take away from his outfit, so I can't really fault him for it too much. The helmet has a very unique and beautiful shape that I enjoy, and I'm overall a massive fan of the shape and layering work on his armor. It really makes him stand out from the other like 52 bosses that wear black armor, you know? It adds that bit of sauce that makes you think, yeah, that boy different. The layering is almost even flower-like with petal shaping, which in my eyes connects him to the Skadu tree avatar. I don't know how intentional that is, or if I'm just seeing things. I just thought it was a cool observation that doesn't really affect his drip score. I think Gaius' fit is extremely well done. Drip paradise. The only reason he is this low is because the people above him are just a bit more creative, and if I personally put more emphasis on consistency of execution rather than creativity, he's probably like number 2, let's be honest. He just lacks that bit of spice to rip my jaw out of my skull and toss it straight into the depths of the underworld. Coming in hot at number 3, we have everyone's favorite mama's boy, Messmer the Impaler. Those classic elegant cloths combined with the intricate armor and scale mail, cause he's the snake guy? Yeah, they cooked with this one. I'm always a massive fan of elegant and righteous design elements working in tandem with more rough and ratchet elements, especially for characters like Messmer, who need to show both their clean, elegant royalty and their badass conquering warrior side. From what I can understand and see, part of the draping done on his cloak is actually held up by his little snake guys, which is mwah. It both allows for more unorthodox draping, we'll get to that in a second, but it also integrates his little snake guys, his little boys, his squad into his design, and that's beautiful, baby. I always say, and I will never stop saying this, looking good together is better than looking good alone. And if your boys have drip, it elevates your drip, which isn't quite exactly the case here, but the little guys are actively a part of his outfit and are an integral part of his design, which gives him massive drip points. The color scheme is great. Red and black is a classic look that is honestly pretty hard to go wrong with, and the little bits of gold highlights is a very nice touch. I personally adore the red plus gold combo, so I admit I am biased towards it whenever I see it used. Now let's talk about the wing motif all throughout his armor, which frankly looks hard as fuck. The fact that the wing motifs are imbalanced to one side of his outfit and it is the same side where his snake uplifted draping forms the wing shape. This creates a perfect amount of symmetry to give his shape a lot more flavor, and let's be real, it's just very dope to look at. Also, having snakes as an accessory piece is just way too drippy. Fuck eyes, he's got snakes on his wrist, chilling. He's different, he's that guy. And then phase 2 hits, and it kind of suffers the same problem that Godfrey had, where he just loses a lot of what made his outfit work so well together. He loses his cloak, and with it, a lot of the wing motifing and asymmetry is just instantly gone. The snakes growing out of him are pretty cool, they get a lot more space to shine as an accessory in phase 2, but they do mess up his shape and silhouette to be less appealing. So overall, phase 2 is a bit of a downgrade to phase 1, but I made the executive decision to not count the worstness of phase 2 as much as I count the dripness nirvana that is phase 1. It was actually very close between him and Gaius, and for a while I had Gaius above him because it's just more consistent as an outfit and it doesn't suffer from a bad phase 2. But I am a massive sucker for a risk and trying to do something more unique, so I decided to let Messmer edge him out just a little bit in the end. And I know my logic is a bit counterintuitive, but unfortunately for you, I'm more fucking ballin'. Our runner-up, he may be consumed by madness, but I am consumed by dripness, specifically the dripness he possesses. I'll come out and say it, I have my biases, and I am a sucker for a well-executed avant-garde fit. And Midra presents the high fashion shit that gets me fucking tweaking. I'm a bit conflicted on what to think about quote-unquote phase 1 because it's technically there, I guess. It's pretty whatever though, let's be realistic. It's a torso with a rag over it. Hard for me to have much to say, but I will admit, Soul Through the Skull is pretty fucking metal, and it is the initial greeting of this fashion statement. And then we enter the phase transition into Midra, the Lord of Frenzied Flame. Ooh baby. That little rag from earlier metamorphs into a cunty-ass draped cloak, which is very akin to a Roman toga. Think Roman era philosophers or statues you would see in a museum. And it fucking serves, okay? It has this elegant ambiance to it that really helps emphasize Midra's theatrics. The way it doesn't actually follow the body shape almost at all, and is only there to fill in the negative space around this very slender, malnourished body is amazing. It actually manages to give this thin, malnourished frame an imposing and menacing stature, which is very impressive. It shows how much you can actually do with so little, given the right circumstances. It feels like only one piece, right? But without it, Midra is not the same boss. And if your drip manages to give you this much aura from nothing, there is nothing left for us to do apart from bow in respect. And now let's talk about the Frenzied Flame head. Is it a part of his being or is it a separate thing? I do not know. Don't ask me these philosophical questions. But what I do know is that it is an amazing avant-garde ass crown jewel pearl piece to sit atop this masterpiece. It accentuates the already established color scheme. It looks both menacing and enticing in the same breath, and works to further emphasize the juxtaposition between the weak, almost pathetic stature and the bravado of everything that surrounds it. Not only is this outfit supremely executed and very unique, but it also beats out a lot of people here due to presentation. Because how you wear your drip does affect how your drip looks. It's a concept that can get easily overlooked, but there is a reason why tailoring is as massive as it is, and why professional designers pick very specific models to model certain types of clothes. And Midra is wearing the absolute shit out of that. Slay, my lord, slay! And finally, the greatest drip in the lands of shadow belongs to none other than Rellana, the Twin Moon Knight. If there is one thing these carrions know how to do, it's drip. Not you, Rellana. I've talked extensively about this silver, mirror-like armor and how it works super well with most visual effects, including blue carrion magic. It is a major reason why I ranked Loretta as high as I did. But in Rellana's case, it also works to contrast and emphasize the fire in her second phase, which is mwah. We have fire and magic, the classic red and blue, bouncing off the armor to create the ultimate light show. Unlike Loretta though, her silver armor is not quite as polished and is a bit more rugged and worn from battle. It shows that she's the baddest battle bitch around, not just in theory, but also in practice. The intricate carrion carvings and imagery built into her armor are a beautiful way to show exactly what she is about, and especially the more intricate carvings, more so around the joints, work well to contrast the large spaces of very flat armor to upkeep the detail balance perfectly. The blue drape around the armor that is almost like a variation of a Greek hymation adds so much needed softness and elegance to the otherwise very stern and hard-hitting armor. It's giving Millennia phase 1 and even a bit of Messmer phase 1, where we have the very elegant aspects and the very rough aspects, that righteous and that ratchet working together. A lack of symmetry is always drippy, and the drape being weighted onto one side basically gives it the perfect amount of asymmetry. It looks good, it makes sense, and it isn't overbearing yet. Two swords is always drip in any context ever. If you disagree, get some taste. I have never seen a single example in the entire history of existence when someone pulling out a second sword didn't make them look way cooler, okay? And I'll stand on that shit, I don't care. Try and prove me wrong, I dare you, because you can't. The fact that the two swords are also not of even length could have been amazing. But this is where one of my few problems with Rellana's outfit comes in. In phase 2, she overall maybe could be argued looks a bit better, but the fire isn't strong enough to really compete with the blue, so it becomes very uneven. Too uneven. In phase 1, the blue drape was the perfect amount of blue, but in phase 2, when we get blue and red effects on the swords, the blue very much overshadows the red way too much and destroys the perfect balance she's been carefully threading through so far. I know, it may not make much sense lore-wise, right? For the red sword to be the longer one and not her carrion blue one, but hear me out. If the red one was the bigger, longer one with more intense effects, I think it would have been a perfect amount of red and blue, and the fact that this is not the case is just it pisses me off because it was almost perfection. The outfit is still absolutely amazing, and I would say by far the best seller drip in the entire DLC, hands down. It's just that it could have been the best in the whole game. So despite Loretta's haters' most vivid wishes and the most heart-wrenching prayers, she still remains on top. But Rellana is somewhere in that Melania Godfrey tier as they battle for the other 3 spots in the top 4. I think all 3 of those are very interchangeable and your biases may swing you either way. If you enjoyed this mayhem, check out the original drip ranking for the base game bosses. I guarantee you it's a banger. Like, subscribe, all that, you know what to do. See you around. Tarnished.